Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Zest 2.5 channel. Firstly, I want to say thank you and God bless you to all the channel subscribers. We hit 1k subs last week, and it meant a lot to me that we hit that milestone. To some people it might look really small, but to me, I remember just starting and seeing 0 subscribers and being like, let's just release videos for fun. Seeing 1k subs now is absolutely amazing. By the way, if you're new to the channel, after watching this video, you can stick around, go through the channel and see if the channel's for you, and then you can consider subscribing to the channel. Sorry the intro is taking too long. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, for those who needs the catch-up, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the live action, is an adaptation of the comic book Scott Pilgrim, which follows the story of a reckless, immature 20-something-year-old bass player dragging aimlessly through life until he meets Ramona Flowers, to which he becomes instantly infatuated by her. But then he discovers that in order to date her, he would have to defeat her 7 evil exes. Now then, there is a lot of discrepancies between the movie and the comic. Yes, in a way, the movie does do a lot of things correctly, but it doesn't do justice to Ramona Flowers as a character. In the movie, Ramona is a one-dimensional character that only serves the purpose of the love interest, and maybe you could also say she acts as the bridge or the entire plot of the story. Basically, she gives Scott the reason to be the main character, while also serving as the love interest. The movie mainly shines light on Scott's reckless and immature behavior and shows us how he matures the more he vaporizes Ramona's exes. And as such, this story really pushes Ramona to the curb, where she almost gives off Mary Sue vibes. Not the first definition, which you all know as an overly competent female character, but the definition I'm using here is a character who is an author insert. Now, what do I mean by that? A character whose only reason to be in the story is just to fulfill one function, which in my opinion is a flat character. Now, before we go on, please do consider liking the video and subscribing if you are enjoying the content. Yes, we've passed 1k subs, but you can help push the growth of this channel by subscribing. Thank you very much. Let's get back into it. Ramona comes off pretty cold and standoffish in the movie, in my opinion, which was my biggest critique of her as a character when compared to the comic. There is no depth or layer to her. Yes, she's been scarred. Yes, she's been through a lot, but at least show me something to relate to with this character. Show me something to maybe care about with this character. There really wasn't anything, which made me as a viewer have no personal attachment to the character. In fact, in the movie, I started to cheer for Knives, who goes through a unique arc despite the fact that she's younger than Ramona. Well, I feel all that was changed in a special way by Netflix's adaptation of Scott Pilgrim's story. And I feel the main reason for that was the change of the crew, being that Brian Lee was put in charge of this adaptation. For those who don't know, Brian is the creator of the comic, and he really pays homage to the anime style of the comic with this anime adaptation. From the art style to the soundtrack and even to the dialogue. The dialogue really feels like an anime dub of your favorite anime. It's actually pretty brilliant. But maybe my only critique of the show is that the fighting sequence somehow comes off really slow for an anime style show, but that's just me nitpicking. Every character in this show has a role and is much more fleshed out compared to the movie. Each of them has their own unique function to the story and shine in their own unique way. Ramona plays much more of a pivotal role in this adaptation, with her now being the one to face her 7 evil exes, and the show follows her coming to terms with her past in order to figure out who kidnapped Scott. The plot of the story is kind of as if they switched the places with Ramona, where you had Ramona being the one to face the exes rather than Scott, which in my opinion works perfectly in terms of how it functioned for the story. A lot of people might think that this is a clear indication of pushing the vogue of over-empowering female characters in new adaptations of older stories, but I feel like this was actually really good screenwriting. Not only did it give Ramona much more needed light, but it also shined way more perspective on Scott, with both Ramona and Scott going through their own different arcs, even though Ramona has more screen time. By making Ramona the focus, you create a better, more believable story than the stupid theme of the girl's problem has to be solved or dealt with by the wonderful boy love interest, which actually was my critique for the past Disney eras before the Disney Renaissance era. You can go and watch that video after you've watched this one. Now, this adaptation shows Ramona take matters into her own hands. Yes, Scott being kidnapped was what caused this, but she could have easily sat it out and said, oh, on to the next boyfriend, but that wasn't the case. I love when screenwriters make characters all the more believable. It makes us as viewers feel more intimate with the characters, unlike the movie adaptation of Ramona, and if you can't tell, I really hated it. Another thing is the story almost kills the whole fight my evil exes plot, and then it chooses this, emotional redemption arc theme with Ramona trying to understand that she hurt people and that the things she did in her past did matter to these people that she hurt. This adaptation really creates this character who grows with each episode. Now, if this growth was just on Ramona's side, that's when I could have critiqued the screenwriting or the screenplay for the show. But it wasn't only on Ramona's side. Even though Scott had less screen time, but we could also see from Scott's perspective where he got to understand what his recklessness and utter immaturity would do to him and ultimately do to his relationship with Ramona, with the show dipping its hands in things like time travel, magic, and so much more that also pays homage to the comic book. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that Scott did make was with knives, and the climax was Scott maturing and growing to be this person that can own up to his own mistakes. Knives is a character that I feel has the biggest disparity from the movie to the Netflix adaptation. She's such a lovable character, but the movie portrays her to be overly obsessive of Scott to the extent that she never really blames Scott for breaking up with her, but blames Ramona for stealing Scott away from her. This anime adaptation takes a unique curve, with it showing Knives from a different light, where she grows and develops past just some friend groupie, but she saw that she could do and learn things even without Scott. We see Knives become her own person, not held back by Scott Pilgrim. I know some people might see this as a very female forward show, but I'm looking at it from a character perspective. As a viewer, what do I want to see? I want to see a character develop, I want to see a character grow, and I think that's what Netflix's adaptation of Scott Pilgrim's story achieves perfectly, with its own unique dialogue and unique humor. If you're an avid watcher of anime, I think that this show is definitely for you because it's very, very anime forward in the way it tries to deliver its humor and its jokes. For someone who probably doesn't watch anime, the dialogue might feel a bit slow, but it definitely won't stop you from enjoying the show. Okay, that's the end of the video. I hope you guys liked the video. If this is your first time being on this channel, again, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome too. Thank you very much for watching the video. Please do comment in the comment section below, and I'll be there to read it and to reply to it. Okay then, God loves you, and I love you too.